Sometimes silence is louder than screams. I realized that the moment I first opened the basement door. My name is Eliza Monroe. I'm 27 years old and work as a junior archivist at the Denver Public Library. Life has always been quiet and lonely. No siblings. My parents died in a car crash when I was a child, and I was raised by my uncle. Books always prove to be better than people. They don't lie, they don't change. They just hold everything in silence. 2 months ago, I was assigned a new storage room in the lower level of the library. A forgotten space filled with old files, broken desks, and discarded books. The staff always avoided it, but for someone like me, places like that feel like heaven. The way to the basement was blocked by a thick wooden door with a rusted padlock. Ms. Fletcher, my senior, handed me the key and said something strange. "Eliza, if something feels off down there, come back immediately. Time doesn't work quite the same in that room." I laughed. "Ms. Fletcher, it's just dust and mold." She looked down, as if hiding something. The first time I went down, the air was completely still. There was a dampness and the scent of rotting wood. The lights flickered, and every breath echoed like I was inside a cavern. But at the very end, there was a small room with a metal plaque on the door. Retired techs, not for catalog. Inside, everything was scattered. Books, notebooks, diaries. One diary stood out, a black leather cover, no title. And the moment I touched it, it felt cold. I opened it. The first line read, "If you're reading this, Eliza, it's already too late." I froze. Was this a prank? Did someone write this in advance? I searched the entire room. No one was there. But from the corner of the wall, I heard a faint rustling, like someone breathing. A chill ran down my spine. I snapped the diary shut and ran upstairs. The next day, I spoke to Ms. Fletcher. Her face turned serious. "You touched the diary?" I nodded. "You'll start hearing voices. At first, they'll be whispers. Then they'll call your name. And most importantly, do not talk to them." That night, I heard nothing. But the next evening, while reading by my window, I heard someone call my name. "Eliza." I turned sharply. No one was there. The voice, it sounded exactly like my childhood friend Ivy, who drowned when we were 7, but it felt alive. I gathered courage and returned to the basement. The diary was still there, untouched. I began to read. It mentioned a girl. My name was Clara. I came here in 1942. I started hearing voices in the books. Now I am one of them. As soon as I read that line, the lights went out. Complete darkness. I pulled out my phone, no signal. And then I saw it. A shadow. A figure. Standing in front of me. It was a girl, maybe 16 or 17. Hair wet, like she had just come out of water. Eyes empty. She spoke. "Eliza, you must join us." In the silence, we all speak. I ran. Somehow I made it back upstairs. The next morning I went to see Ms. Fletcher, but I was told she had resigned, vanished without a word. Her desk was empty, except for a single note. "Don't go back. The silence knows your name." I buried myself in work. But inside, something kept pulling me back. The library walls felt like they were watching me. A few days later, I opened the diary again. There was a new page. Eliza Monroe, joined, April 2025. I never wrote that. Who did? When? Why? Tonight I'm writing this so that maybe someone will believe me. There's something in that basement. It listens, it reads, and it steals voices. If you ever visit the Denver Public Library and hear a girl whisper, "Hey, have you seen my diary?" Please, don't answer, because that's me, and I want to hear your voice. But maybe it's already too late. This morning when I arrived at the library, something felt off. The lights were dim, like the bulbs were tired from within. Some staff members were missing. I went to the reference desk and asked Alice, "Has Ms. Fletcher returned?" She looked confused. "Ms. who?" "Ms. Fletcher, our senior archivist?" Alice shook her head. "Eliza, we've never had anyone by that name." The file in my hand dropped. I ran to the storeroom, but the wooden door, it wasn't there anymore. Just a blank wall. And slowly something began to appear on the wall. written as if by an invisible finger. There is always someone inside the silence. And now, that someone is you, Eliza. Then the voice returned, but it wasn't just echoing anymore. It was speaking from inside me. Hey, have you seen my diary? And if you say yes, your voice will be next. I've never felt such an intense silence from any place in my life as I did that night on the 4th floor of Widener Library, and that silence was hiding something. My name is Aaron Blake, and I'm a student of English literature at Harvard University. To escape the pressure of my studies, I often go to the library late at night. The 4th floor of Widener Library was the most peaceful place, perhaps because it was restricted and only selected students had access to it. The first time I was granted access to that floor, I felt special, but I didn't know that this special permission may have been given for an entirely different reason. It all began the week I was researching the obscure works of Edgar Allan Poe. I came across an old book titled The Hollow Reflection. There was no information about it online, and it was stamped "Do Not Circulate." Curiosity got the better of me, and I opened the book in one of the quiet reading rooms on the 4th floor. On the first page, a single sentence was written: "Read only what you can reflect." The first night I sat with that book, the lights in the room began to dim. At first I thought it was a power issue, but the rest of the library was fully lit. Only this room felt different. Then I noticed a man sitting at the table across from me, though I hadn't seen him enter. He closed his book, stood up, and walked out. But before leaving, he paused, looked directly at me and said, "Don't let the mirror open." A mirror? There was no mirror in that room. But when I looked up again, I noticed something moving in the reflection of the glass cabinet against the wall, and it wasn't me. I quickly packed my things and went downstairs to the lobby, but an eerie fear had planted itself inside me. The next night I returned. Maybe I was going crazy, or maybe I needed to know the truth. I opened the same book again. This time another page had appeared. He lives in unread thoughts. Once again the light dimmed. Once again I felt the presence of someone behind me in the reflection. I turned around. No one was there. But in the glass, a shadow remained, still, watching. After that, I couldn't focus on my studies. That shadow appeared everywhere, even in my dreams. One day, my friend Maya said to me, "Aaron, you've changed. It's like something's draining you." I laughed it off, but the truth was, my body was weakening. Dark circles formed under my eyes. I was slipping, mentally and physically. Then one night, with the library completely empty, I decided to return to that room one last time. I was scared, but an inner voice urged me, "If you don't end it, he will begin through you." I opened the door, the same cold air, the same dim light. The book was already lying on the table. I opened it, and this time a new page had appeared. "Look behind." I turned instantly. No one. But when I looked back at the book, it now displayed my own face, except the eyes were hollow. Just then, footsteps echoed beyond the glass wall of the room. Slow, deliberate. I wanted to run, but my body wouldn't move. I was frozen in place, like something had paralyzed me. The footsteps stopped behind me, then a whisper in my ear, "Now, reflect me." I don't remember how I got out of that room. The next morning, I woke up in the library's security office. They said I had been there all night, but the CCTV footage showed the room completely empty. I asked them about the book, but the staff claimed no such book existed in their records. It's been 3 months since that night. I've never returned to that floor. But even now, sometimes, when I look in the mirror, I can feel that shadow behind me. Some reflections never close, some thoughts never finish, and some libraries only reveal their secrets to those who don't want to escape them. 2 weeks ago, things got worse. My hands started shaking. I couldn't sleep. And every time I looked in the mirror, I saw a growing emptiness in my eyes. One night, Maya came to my room and froze at the sight of me. "Aaron, you're fighting something, and it's not just in your mind." Finally, I told her everything. The library, the book, the shadow. She listened in silence, then said, "I think that thing, It's living inside you now. You need to get rid of it before it becomes you. That night, we went back to the library together. Taking Maya inside was dangerous, but I couldn't go alone. When we reached the room, the door opened by itself. The book was already on the table, but now the cover displayed my full face, like a mirror. Maya gently closed the book and said, "It only reflects the lost. Aaron, you're not lost yet." She picked up the book and threw it out the window of the library. Suddenly, the lights in the room flared bright, and the shadow in the glass dissolved into a blur and vanished. Maybe not entirely, but something had changed that night. I started feeling like myself again, like life was returning. And yet, sometimes, when I look into the mirror, those hollow eyes are still staring back at me. Here's the extended English version of your story, The Fourth Floor, with 200 plus additional words at the end, continuing in the same atmospheric, suspenseful tone. Since that night, things have felt lighter. I've started attending classes again. I even managed to write a full research paper. Though not on Poe, I couldn't go near that subject anymore. Still, every now and then, when I pass by Widener Library, a strange chill brushes past me, as if the building remembers me. Maya and I grew closer after everything. She checks on me often, sometimes bringing tea, sometimes just silent company. We don't talk about the shadow anymore, but we don't pretend it never happened either. Last night, as I was organizing some old books in my dorm, I found a slip of paper tucked into one of my notebooks. It wasn't in my handwriting. It simply read, "Some mirrors don't break. They wait." I froze. My mirror stood across the room, dark and still. I walked toward it, slowly, afraid and curious all at once. When I looked into it, my reflection was there. Normal, tired maybe, but just me. And then it blinked. But I didn't. I haven't told Maya yet. Maybe I'm imagining things, maybe not. But one thing I know now, some reflections never truly fade. They just wait for someone else to read. The first time I heard the voice, I was alone in the library, and then it spoke right next to my ear as if it had always been there. My name is Isabel Cruz. I'm a library science student at Manila University, and I work part-time at the National Library of the Philippines. My relationship with books feels older than life itself. My grandfather was a librarian, and it was at his insistence that I chose this profession. I have always been fascinated by strange things, the scent of old pages, the dust hiding history, and the silence where words breathe. But the library where I started working turned out to be something else entirely. There weren't just books there, there was something more. My first shift was from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. By that time, the library was usually empty. The third floor held the rare archives section, where ancient, rare, and often forbidden books were kept. None of the staff liked going there, but I found it oddly alluring. One night, I entered the rare archives. The air was thick with an unusual dampness, and the dust on the books looked centuries old. I started cleaning the shelves when suddenly, right next to my right ear, someone whispered, "Nakikita kita." "I see you." My whole body froze. I turned around, no one. The door was shut, the windows sealed for years. My heart pounded. Still, I tried to calm myself. Maybe it's just my imagination. The next day, one of the elderly library staff, Lola Remedios, stopped me. Her eyes were cloudy, but she saw everything. "Nakita mo siya, ano? You saw him, didn't you?" I stared at her, startled. "Who are you talking about?" She gently placed her hand on my arm. "Lalaki sa pagitan ng mga pahina. The man who lives between the pages. He chooses girls who read in silence, who love libraries. He steals their souls." I laughed it off. But that night, the voice returned. This time it wasn't just a voice. I saw a shadow behind the shelf. It vanished the moment I turned on my phone's flashlight. I decided I had to know the truth. The next day, I dug through old records in the rare archives. Surprisingly, I found a 1963 report mentioning a girl, Teresa Lim, who had disappeared under similar circumstances. When I saw her photo, my skin crawled. She looked exactly like me. After that, I couldn't sleep. Every night something happened. Books would fall on their own, old web pages would open on the library computer. Once I reviewed the library's CCTV footage and saw myself entering the rare archives on a night I was at home. Was it another version of me? A demonic reflection? Or had that shadow begun living inside me? I went back to Lola Remedios. This time she shared a secret. You're special, Isabel. He only chooses one in each generation. You're the one. If you return, your voice will no longer be yours. I made my choice. I needed to see the truth. On the final night, I brought a voice recorder and entered the rare archives. This time he appeared immediately. He wasn't human, tall, hunched, with fingers like dripping ink, and his eyes. They were like book pages, blank and still. You read, you learn. Now you are ours. I tried to run, but the door was locked. I tried to scream, but no sound came. Suddenly, every book's pages started fluttering like wings in the wind, and in the middle of it all, he stood there laughing. The last thing I remember hearing, "Now, you whisper for me." 5 days later, I woke up in a hospital. The doctors said I had a seizure, but the recorder I brought told a different story. The last recording captured the voice of a young girl pleading, "Please, Ash, don't read it aloud. He listens." And that voice wasn't mine. This happened months ago. I haven't returned to the university, but something inside me has changed. Some nights I speak in my sleep. My sister says I whisper in an ancient language. One day I found a new book in my room. I never bought it. It was the oldest book from the rare archives, the one nobody ever touched. I haven't opened it, but behind its cover, one line was written, "You open the page. Now the page opens you." Now I hear what others cannot. Every time a book is opened, I hear the whisper. And even when I'm silent, something still breathes in my ear. Basahin mo ako. Read me. If one day you're alone in a library and you hear a faint breath from a book, close it. Because if it fully opens, you might never come back. Last night I had a dream. I was back in the rare archives, but everything was burning. The book screamed, the words turned to ash, and the shadow whispered, "You didn't read us, you woke us." I screamed, but no sound escaped. Hands reached out from every shelf, ink dripping from their nails. One hand grabbed my wrist and offered a book, the same ancient one, untitled, without an author. It opened on its own. Every page had my face. In each image, my eyes were closed, as if someone inside was watching me. I jolted awake. My heart was pounding. But then I saw it. That book was on my desk, its first page open. One sentence was written, "Don't stop reading." He's awake now. Now I understand. Some books don't just share knowledge. They take your soul. And once you've heard their whisper, they never stop.